for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
The Romans, a bunch of well-dressed thugs who could write well but couldn't think, who borrowed practically everything. They laughed at the Africans' concept of Christianity. The African was practicing and not giving it a name. This is why you don't know nothing about the African origins of Christianity. This is why a whole lot of people will not read Ben Yakinen's The African Origins of the Major Western Religions, Africa, Mother of Western Civilization, a Black Man of the Nile. Because he's telling it like it is, but you also will not read white radicals who identified Africa as the origin of the great religions of the world, especially Alvin Boyd Kuhn in his work, Who is This King of Glory? In Shadow of the 3rd Century. We have dealt with John Jackson, another radical black historian, with Man, God, and Civilization. We let some of our great scholars die in hunger, die wanting for friendship. Now, having devoted my greater portion of my life to scholarship and teaching and digging up information on African people and trying to make African people face reality, I have often said, a point that I wish you to consider, I didn't have to do it. I chose to do it, and if I had to do it over again, I would do it better. But I have a lot of talent other than the talent to teach and to research. I've never met a rich man who had a better mind than me. So if I wanted to succeed as a rich man, I could have done that. I never met a crook who wasn't a fool. I could have been a good crook if I chose to be a crook. I chose to be a teacher of African history. I chose to look in the Bible where I couldn't find my people. I started looking for them in the world, and I didn't stop until I found them. And I know why they were left out of the Bible. I know why all the angels are white. You mean to tell me God is merciful, God is kind, and not one little brown or black angel sneaked into heaven? I ain't buying that. Now the Bible that you get so dewy-eyed over is one of the greatest pieces of propaganda ever written. If you want to read the Bible, why don't you read the Bible one day and read Mein Kampf the next day and see the comparison? That's hard on your mind. Because you think if you don't have Christianity, Islam, or Judaism, you don't have to have spirituality. I've got more spirituality after I put all of them down. And I've got more religion after I put all of them down. All right, now let me conclude something that has no conclusion. We have to look at the impact of Europeans on Africa. All impacts have been negative. The Romans laughed at the early African Christians. Finally, for political reasons, they stopped killing Christians and became Christians. I'm saying the Europeans became Christians for political reasons, as the Arabs became Muslim for political reasons, and as the so-called Jews became Hebrews for political reasons. People use organizations for political reasons, and what we get so dewy-eyed and think we're dealing with, the truth. If you look at indigenous African belief systems, if you look at the idea when Africans had no churches of any consequence because these fools came here and said, this is the house of God, and the African looked at that church and said, if God who made the wind, the spring, made the ocean roar, and you're going to tell me he can fit into a little thing you call a church? That is no house of God. So some Africans had the common sense enough to move away from it, and some had the common sense to burn it down. I'm saying that you're closer to God when the further away you get away from organized religions that are all handmaidens of conquest. The Roman Empire developed during the early period of Christianity. Remember, the Roman Empire started in Africa. It rose in Africa, it fell in Africa. A lot of people need to stop reading some religious books and read some straight history without fable, without supposition, without myth. Read straight history. Read the Mediterranean world in ancient times. She's a racist bigot, but her chronology is good. It is a good history of the European trying to move out of Europe into the Mediterranean to find something to eat, to put on that gosh darn awful European food. He has solved his problem at the expense of other people. The slave trade liberated Europe from the depressed economy they had created with the so-called Crusades and through the famines and the plagues. Europe always solves its problems by preying on people outside of Europe. They are in a position right now that they have betrayed true socialism, which was not of European origin in the first place. And some people are confused between Karl Marx and Groucho Marx. I think a lot of people are Groucho Marxism instead of Karl Marxism. They're funny people. And if you think that that system started in Europe, no system as humane as socialism could have started among a bunch of icebox people who prey on their brothers for their breakfast. Read Kwame Colson's work, The History of the Modern World, especially the early chapters. Now, the evidence of Africans in the New World, the evidence of 1,000 years of civilization before slavery, all of this I'm not discussing because there is no time. But when the Romans disgraced themselves in the mismanagement of Christianity, they created a vacuum. Islam moved into that vacuum. The Africans thought that Islam would get the Romans off of their back. They were right. Islam got the Romans off of their back, and the Arabs jumped on their back, and they're still there, using Islam to justify it. Now, the African military man, because we are the greatest fighting machine in the face of the earth, if we ever discovered this, people are going to start running. Under proper leadership, proper inspiration, properly equipped, the black man is the greatest human fighting machine God ever created, if indeed God created it. I think the gods of Africa created it. Once you lose track of your heritage, you lose track of your liberty in this world. The Europeans doing the slave trade not only read the African out of history, they colonized history, they colonized information about history. They colonized image. They colonized the image of God. Who told you Christ was white? He was born in that part of the world predominantly occupied by non-European people. So you should not get into the argument about whether he's white. All you have to say, was he a Greek? No. Was he a Roman? No. But these were the only people partially white in the area at the time. If he wasn't a Greek, he wasn't a Roman, he was one of those other people. You don't have to argue about the shades of color. So far as you're concerned, once you establish he was not a Roman, he was not a Greek, your conversation is over. Now, if somebody else want to argue about his shade, well, that's their problem. Then if you got a problem with color, then you got a problem with your mother and your father. You have insulted your mother and your father if you don't like what they gave you. I wear mine like a badge of honor. I dig it. I wear it well.
All right. Love it.
Also pay our tribute and our condolences to the family of Frankie Paul. We listen to the different tributes, so we don't want to double up no program here, but we still have to mention Frankie Paul. We will be disingenuous if we never mention Frankie Paul. And we want to get up China Smith, because while we can say China Smith put on the charts in Jamaica, I know that he was the first one for record Frankie Paul from down High Times days. For those of you who remember High Times, down at the bottom of King Street there, in the mall. Frankie Paul and I used to almost live down the mall. China was the one who controlled that place, and we used to down there and record songs, and not record songs down there, but rehearse songs, do things. Frankie Paul used to behave like him as Stevie Wonder. Our people don't know, say Frankie Paul was given land, a compound. Now when I say compound, now I talk about, if you look at IRFM, the whole IRFM I saw, Yahya Jammeh, the former president of Gambia, gave Frankie Paul land, a compound. We call it compound in Africa because it show ownership, just like how if IRFM did there in Africa, they would have call it IRFM compound, meaning say the things them that is housed over our next to a wall surround it, showing ownership. And him have him wife them too. I mean, I talk about President Jammeh, I talk about Frankie Paul in a Gambia. Frankie Paul was a man who lived in a Gambia, having big estate in a Gambia, and him wife them in a Gambia, because it come a time when him become Muslim. Him latch on to the Muslim faith and start learn the language of the Gambian people. So that is part of Frankie Paul, where a whole heap of man or woman might not know about. That Frankie Paul used to live in a Gambia and him have him own compound in a Gambia and more than one wife in a Gambia, and they really get converted to Islam. And he's a great singer, high-pitched. I mean, like, not only high-pitched, but like, no miss a card. So we say, yes, Gambian, like myself, yeah. Yeah, Jammeh, even though people tend to see him as a dictator and a person, but me see him as a Pan-Africanist. Me see him as a Pan-African. The first time he go to Gambia, and the only time, them sign me up to be a citizen of Gambia. So me can go to Gambia and say me is a citizen. Just like that. I don't know if now, because Yahya is not there anymore, and I don't know what will happen to Frankie Paul yard when him left down there. But I know that is something Jamaican people should know. Jamaican people should know that Frankie Paul lived in lived in Gambia and have him own compound. We say compound because it's so we call it in Africa. You know, it's just that. And me and Sizzla go down there, and it was unbelievable. I mean, you hear the reports where we did report forward to Jamaica when we did down there. The thousands of people in the stadium. I mean, them did have side runners, side bike police on the side. When we are going at the stadium, you have soldier up on the right and soldier up on the left, and them just leave a walkway for we walk through. Because the people them was like, wow, you know them way there. We couldn't come out of the hotel just like that. Anytime we are come out of the hotel, we have to tell them, so we are come out of the hotel that them can have soldier and police outside. I wait. And anywhere we drive, me talk about me and Sizzler. But the reality of it is that Frankie Paul did make a print in the landscape of reggae music. He did make a print. And even though in the late part, he never have no big hit in Jamaica, but in the 80s, the late 80s and 90s, he did have some hit where make a print out there. And in England. So, enough respect to Frankie Paul. But want to play a tune where all anybody know or all anybody play by Frankie Paul. And it's one of my songs them I love. And my greatest version of this song, even though it's not an original song by him, is David Ruffin. For those of you who know the music, you know that David Ruffin was the lead singer for the Temptations. And David Ruffin, as a great artist, was found dead in a crack house. David Ruffin, one of my favorite singers of all time, David Ruffin from the Temptation. Well, him did cover a tune named Statue of a Fool. And many people cover it, but we want to play Frankie Paul version of Statue of a Fool. This is the cutting edge on RFM. You don't want to miss this program tonight, you know. You know, say, we have a tape I go play. Yeah, we are going to the archives. John Henry Clark. Couple months ago we played John Henry Clark. We have played John Henry Clark again. Different subject, different topic. But we see we are going, you know, the bombing in England there. It's like, well, I don't know what's wrong with them, man, the Rasta. Believe you me, I mean, what is it that them say that we not see? What is it in a for them idea, for them religion, that them see what we not see? For you train a youth to the level where he go tire and a bump on himself and go blow up some other youth. It's really something that, you know, may I tell you, man, it's really something that, because him is a youth, you know, them say him about 20 years old. If your youth get trained to the point where him tire and a bump on himself and go in a place full of mostly children and blow up himself in there with the pity them, everybody. It's a serious thing, man. I sit down in my bed and I figure it out. I sit down in my bed and I figure it out. And I say, I try to figure out all the irrational thinking where I come up with and claim say it's rational, and I can't come to grips with that a man or a group of people have an organization where just haphazardly blow up people and blow up the person who blow up the people. Or take a bus or a car and just drive in a crowd and kill dozens of people. I don't know. I know the weirdest thing. Them say them is Muslim and it's mostly Muslim them kill. It's mostly Muslim get dead from that group. Check the amount of people were dead. It's not Americans who them hate. It's Muslims who don't see eye to eye with them in the interpretation of Islam. But we have to live with it, you know, in the world, yeah. We have to live with it. But it now go stop me personally from move. Because one of them want you to turn a house rat and get the color of your wall. But there's so much things in the world to see. There are places to go and people to see. That I not gonna make that stop me. No way, Jose. My experience extend beyond fear of those things. You know, there was a man say him no want to get himself in a trouble. So he must stay in his house. Him not go nowhere. Turn off phone, turn off everything and say, boy, he must stay in his house, him not go nowhere, and him chop a coconut, a jelly, and throw the jelly where him done through him window, and it kill a little old woman. Him gone to prison. So sometimes you run from trouble, and trouble run you down and catch you. No guy not gonna make me just stop me. Must stay in my house through me want to stay in my house. Me not gonna make them tell me about Ebola in West Africa, and then now when me hear from the shout, it's just certain part of Africa right there, and they make me no want to go Africa. Or when we hear say a place get blow up, our plane get blow up, we not go fly in a plane again. Cause there's more much car accident in the place, you know, that it is easier for you to crash in a car than to get a plane, die video. Yes. So that fear not in me. That fear not in me at all. I hope it not in you. Because the only way you can know is to experience. Most of the time. Because experience teacheth wisdom. Don't follow the national anthem by saying, grant true wisdom from above. There's no wisdom above in the sky to be experienced. You have to experience it through your lifelong endeavors. That is how you get wisdom, through lifelong endeavors. That's why in Africa, them search the elders to speak and to ratify and clarify things. Because it's through experience you get wisdom. Through reading and information you get knowledge. And through religion you get a belief. And belief is what is mashing up the world. Too much people have too much different religions that is creating havoc in the minds of the people. You have become deluded. To the Tony Rebel asks me, why you have Tony Rebel, you know? And the youth them upper flames today. Tony Rebel asks me, Samuta, you interview a whole heap of people all over the world. And all on the radio and them thing there. Oh, tell me some of the people them you that like interview. I say, well, the number one person would like interview is Jesus Christ. And the next person would like interview the devil. Because I would really like to sit down with those two entities and talk to them seriously about what me think about them. Yes. So if anybody know which part I can find, good afternoon, good night. Hi, good night. Why you sneak coming here like you know what I know saying here? I tell you, say, I know, where you tell me what chief for? Where you tell me what chief for? You sneak coming here like you know what I know is in here. Good afternoon, good night, and goodbye. This is the cutting edge. Okay, here goes. Why them give me a next new lady. A new lady. I don't know how much new. Cabo, I can't take so much new lady, you know. New ladies every night. Oh gosh, man. Treat me better than that.
This is Frankie Top in the mix, and this is a trap.
This is something else. We have a nice lady in here, I don't remember her name. Oh, embarrassing. What is the name again?
Sandra.
Eh?
Sandra.
Sandy? Sandra? Spell it.
Saundrie.
Saundrie? Okay, so like candy. Eh? It's so like candy. Or son. Okay, Sandy. Sandy. No, tell me exactly. Sandri. What unusual name, Sandri? What kind of language that? I know English that though. You know? And not French neither. Most of you have French name or English name, you know. You must ask your mother why she give you that name Sandri. To come twist up me. Because right now me get twist up just to say Sandri. I say Sandri, Sandru, Sandri. Okay, this is the cutting edge on IRFM. We have Sandri in the house today. Keeping her company, that's all she can do now. Because there's nothing else to do. Keep her company and look on her cell phone the whole night. Okay. Listen to Carlton and his shoes, one of the most unusual names for a group I ever hear from in them days. Carlton and his shoes. Carlton and the shoes. How the shoes them there nowadays? Look at them wear out. Carlton still them out though, believe you me. I think we spend some time with the Abyssinians. They are not Abyssinians, but the lead singer. This is the cutting edge on RFM. As we are say, Africa the power mind. Africa the power mind. All the while, we don't wait for Black History Month to talk about Black history. And we continue the journey right through the year. We give thanks that we have the opportunity to do that on the radio where thousands of people listen to it. We give thanks to all the people who stay with you over the years and listen. And all the youth them who used to defy them parents and listen to cutting edge and find out now say it was beneficial for them to be listening. That all them mother now start to listen. I'm sorry for the man them who on Wednesday night them can't get nothing because them woman have to listen to cutting edge. And by the time them woman don't listen to cutting edge, them fall asleep. So you know say I'm cutting edge time on Wednesday. So nobody have figure out nothing. You understand? Nobody have figure out nothing. Just know say that this time is reserved for the cutting edge from 10 to 2. Hey, you know so when I bring Junior, this man they can sing that tune here. And my generation them that talk about. What is going to happen to the young generation? What is going to happen to the youth of today? It's not the youth of today, that's what I talk about, you know. The youth of today in a film time, in the 60s. So tell me now, how is it that a man talk about them things there in the 60s? And still now, man have to sing back the same song them in a 2017. That means it come like not change. It come like not change because I don't understand why a man would have to want to sing a song like that today. But him have to sing it because really and truly the society still reflect the same thing. What is going, the more him eat good food is the more him rude. So we want to play this song here for the reactionary state of our system that cause a song like this to sound like it just make. And it wasn't talking to the youth them today. It was talking to like people in my age group when we were the young generations of the day. Yes, Desmond Decker singing a tune we make from before most of you who was listen to this program had it banned. And it sound, the lyrics, the lyrical content of the song sound like him a talk about your generation. And it's not your generation him a talk about what is going to happen to the youth of today, meaning 50 odd years ago. Like this tune, you know. Listen to this tune, you know. Oh, that song they make before most of you are listening to the program, you're born. It sounds like a song where could have slam bam with a different rhythm, maybe a dancehall rhythm. He could have used the same lyrics, put to a dancehall rhythm, and it wouldn't sound like it's a long time song. Every day you read the Gleaner of the Star, man shot dead and somebody that why the gun fever. We have a gun fever in Jamaica, so the question is, if a man can sing a song like that 50 years ago, 40 years ago, and today a man can sing the same kind of song and it's still fresh, that mean what? What that mean? It means somebody do something the same way and expect to get a different result by doing it the same way all the while. Because we're not supposed to sing them song there. Them song they make from in the 60s, early 70s, 60s. Rock steady tune. Them song they should not sing now. But yet still, it's most of them songs that you turn on your, every day you turn on your radio, is man lick out marrow or kick out marrow or do some, you really Gleaner on the Stars, somebody get shot and family dead, a woman a kill 70-year-old woman, and I mean, baby, I mean, terrible. Man a kill all youth point blank, old gun pan baby point blank, and shoot them. And here the man talk about the gun fever is back. The gun fever never gone. The gun fever, I remember when we used to go to Wesley School, Tower Street and Rosemary Lane corner. The gang them, where they debut was a gang named Spangler and Max gang. Them gang they drive fear in people from down in the south, they raid town, go back, come forward to Ayoban Street, Price Lane, come right back to Mills Lane, Barry Street and all them places there. Man a walk and a rub off corner with him shoulder, ratchet and gun. Bad man business, Max gang, Spangler gang. And now we still the same thing going on, so one other gang. So wait, you know, them things they not gonna stop. You tell me, say, 50 years from now, the artists them in Jamaica are gonna still sing them song, yeah. Me talk to the politician them and the preacher them. The politician them who is responsible for them say Jamaica spend more money for prevent crime than any other Caribbean country. I want it for the hear me I say. The expert them, not me say, the expert them say Jamaica spend more money on crime prevention than any other country in the Caribbean. And guess what? Jamaica have the largest crime rate. Anya, so when I say Anya, so I want to carry on. 1,000 people dead per year, murdered, and most of them dead by the gun. We are say, how is that possible? How is that possible? That these songs was made when you who listen to me was children, I never born it. And I want to tell you so, a whole little pound of mother never born it neither. Call the little girl inside there with me. Sorry for calling the little girl, but I shouldn't even say little girl, you know. She look well experienced. But all the well experienced little girl inside that so. Maybe her mother never born yet. It made me go ask her, when I come up here, I go ask her mother age. Because I know, say, I bet you anyhow her mother never born yet. When them song you make. And yet till her mother now come experience gun fever. Every day you read at the Gleaner and the Star. I take up the paper today. And the first thing it me mental illness worry. Imagine now, this you know, so I have to talk to this man here, you know, because you're the man saying, professionals say data suggests doubling of cases in 10 years. What is going to be doubled? Mental illness. Him say in 10 years' time, just think on how much mad people you know. Because people say mad mental illness, but you have all different kind of mental illness. And most Jamaicans are traumatized. And him say in the next 10 years, all this trauma, all this, what them call it, worry, all this blood pressure where this society cause will be doubled or tripled in the next 10 years. And I remember Icklin from the way it name, they say a couple months, yeah, well, I must say a couple years ago, them say 40% of Jamaica is suffering from mental illness. This is the top psychiatrist in Jamaica. Said to Jamaica, say, look here now, 40% of Jamaican people need psychiatric help, mental illness. Take them over. Now this man come now and say, watch your man. You see that the next 10 years? No. If Icklin did say 40% of Jamaica have mental illness, and this man come now and say, start about, stop.
Listen.
No, where you say, where you show me something on the paper, tell me as well.
2011, Icklin did say that.
2011, all right. Icklin did say that. It in there too? Icklin mentioned in there? I want to talk to that man tomorrow, you know, but here now, Icklin say, in a 2011, say 40% of Jamaican people is mentally ill. And this man come now, in a 2017, and say, in the next 10 years, mental illness will double or triple. Well, that I said to you now. That whole of Jamaica. No, this is amazing. No. Well, wait there. We can do some maths, sir. We can do some maths, sir. In a 2011, the head of mental illness doctor, the head doctor, when it comes on to psychiatric help people, say 40% of Jamaica is mentally ill. And next doctor come now and him say, in the next 10 years, that might double or triple. Now, me could look on it say double. Yet about 80% of Jamaica going to suffer from mental illness. So who is the 20% where escape? I want to know. You are one of the 20%. I want to know if 20% of Jamaica people. All right, me could take to the highest level of where him say now. Him say between double or triple. So if Icklin is a 40%, you talk about 120%. So who is the 20% out of the 100%? Oh gosh, man. We live in a serious society. And you know what? Jamaica, the statistics show that Jamaica spend more money on crime prevention than any other country in the Caribbean. How is that possible? So where is the money going to solve crime in Jamaica? That them can come up now and tell you, say, Jamaican government spend more money on solving crime. That's where the money I go. Because I not see no crime I solve. The murder rate is spiraling out of control. Domestic abuse, children are being molested more now than ever before. Bodies are being found all over the place, and some bodies are not found. A lot of killings is not reported because them can't confirm that a missing person was murdered, or if that person is dead. So I don't know, Jamaican people, it's not me saying these things, you know, I'm not painting no doom and gloom. I just say, this is what the experts is saying. So I don't know if the man was say it, I go in at the percentage I go mad too, because if I say it, I go triple, you know, that means say, maybe I'll go get mad too. The head of the maybe a psychiatrist have to start to examine psychiatrists in Jamaica. But we need to examine the people that sit down in a parliament. Them is the first people should have got to Icklin, you know. And this man, you know. We need to talk to him tomorrow, you know. Tell Shamara to what talk to him. But the idea of mental illness doubling in Jamaica is like you're on the Titanic, man. It's like you're on the Titanic and you say it can't sink. Because it's a good, sturdy ship. And it sink. Lick up on an iceberg and it sink. So we need for the doctors. I think that every politician, when him join politics, him should get an examination, psychiatric examination. And when him run for parliament, him should get a psychiatric evaluation, and if him win, him should get another psychiatric evaluation, because really and truly, power corrupt, and absolute power corrupt absolutely. A man named Lord Acton in England said that, and I firmly accept that. Power corrupt, absolute power corrupt absolutely. And I think that most politicians is corrupted. I am not one of them. I said some. Some can be most. And I would say, well, you know, 20% of them corrupt and the other 80. Because, watch out, 40% of we mad. I would never know it. Because the psychiatrist will tell you, watch out. A whole heap of way I walk around the place, I go like we really see it, and we don't really see it, you know. Believe you me. A whole heap of way. I walk around the place and think I will see it. Because you know what is insanity? Insanity. This is serious thing, you know. Insanity is getting up every morning before sunrise and go to a place and sit down in another place there till 5 o'clock and go home and go sleep and get up and start over the same thing over and over. That is insanity. Because the place where you go to, I know you own it. I know you own it at all. And the money where you get, you're not even like the money where you get. Because it can't do everything where you want it to do. That is insanity. People must do what they love. They must do it as a hobby. You must work within the confines of your hobby. I am truly believing that most people shouldn't make them hobby become a business. So, when the psychiatrist say it will double, me I say, then who you going to turn to? Because your man up there preach about go to heaven. Him need psychiatry because he never go to heaven yet to tell you, or him know where go to heaven. Somebody will tell you about when you die, this and when. That is the biggest, that man that needs psychiatrist, you know. A man who sit down in that church every Sunday and tell you, say, when you die, this and this and this. Him don't know nobody who ever dead. If you come back, come tell him nothing. But him have it set out, pat. When you die, if you live a certain way, you're going to heaven, to the pearly gates. And the Lord will do this and the Lord will do, hallelujah. No, send around a collection plate. And them don't pay taxes. That is insanity. When a politician get up and tell you, say, look here. You see, if I was in power, you can leave your door open. When the politician go in a supermarket and take up a basket and say, look on this bread, how much for it? This, that. Look on this tin of bully beef, how much for it, this and that and that. And know him in a power, the bully beef and the bread double. And I don't see him go back to the supermarket with the basket. In my prison supermarket locked down. When a politician come and tell you, say, look here, I don't listen to the news. I don't listen to the news, you know. And it's them that create the news. And them make the news happen, you know. And them make the news happen. The killing where you hear are going all over the place. Who's originally create the environment to perpetuate those things? Not them same one politician. Undoubtedly, the whole of Jamaica know that. The whole of Jamaica know that. Say, it's power that corrupt them. And absolute power corrupt them absolutely. That cause gun to start coming at the island to the point now where them don't have no control over it because the youth them now can get them own a gun by doing certain things to get the gun. Because money buy anything. And money buy life too. And money create death too. So the whole of it traumatized, all the gunman traumatized because the gunman feels away from a gun him powerful. And him feel power. Him feel say boy him indispensable. Him feel like nothing can happen to him because him have a gun in him hand. Him treat him gun like him penis. But guess what? Him is traumatized. Him is traumatized. Very traumatized. Most DJ me find them traumatized too. Them need help. Psychiatric help. Most DJ when me find, when me I listen to, them need help. Some serious help. Me need help. Me need some help. So maybe me in the 10%, not even 40%, maybe when it was 10%, maybe it in there from them time there. Maybe all the program manager for this place I need some psychiatric treatment. For have me on the radio attack when me attack as now by saying that the program manager need treatment. It's on that psychiatric help, need help. Would have said something about a program manager. So you know say me need help. Cabo don't need to have a clinic over the great house that's all for people like me. Because me most mad for there upon the radio and say my program manager need help because she have me upon the radio when need help. Who need help? Not to mention the general manager. Who we don't even know. Maybe me know. See there? That's what shows me need help. Me need help. We need help. The gun thing is a terrible thing. Yeah, this is just cutting edge. Turn it over to Pat Clark.
Welcome to Jamaican Roots and Culture. I'm Pat Clark. This week we pay tribute to the late great Frankie Paul, who transcended this life on May 18, 2017.
I hope tomorrow will bring better you, better me. Then we'll show this world we got more we could be. So don't you ever give up on your hopes and your dreams. We gotta get up, get into it, get it on to be strong.
Born on October 19, 1965, his given name was Paul Blake, but he later took the stage name Frankie Paul as he embarked on a singing career. Blake was born blind, but as a child had his sight partially restored by an operation on a hospital ship. He started singing from his childhood days. He had the opportunity to sing for and impress the American superstar Stevie Wonder. Wonder, who was slated to perform at a concert at the National Stadium in 1970, visited the Salvation Army School for the Blind, the school that Blake attended. He heard the young Blake sing and encouraged him to pursue a singing career. While at school, Frankie Paul also learned to play a number of instruments, including the keyboard. The Jamaican dancehall reggae artist later became dubbed by many as the Jamaican Stevie Wonder. Blake first found fame in the early 1980s, and he recorded prolifically throughout the decade of the 80s. It has been said that he has recorded for virtually every producer and studio in Jamaica at some time or another, and has been known to release several albums a year. Frankie Paul had a voice that improved with each release, and although initially compared with Dennis Brown, he had evolved a strange nasal throaty style that made him sound much older. It was the sheer exuberance of his best performances that gave away his youthfulness, and his 2 London appearances were well received. Frankie Paul, who had moved to the African nation of the Gambia in 1994, was a major dancehall reggae star in the decade of the 80s and 90s, with hits like Worries in the Dance, Pass the Kushum Peng, Casanova, and Sarah, among others. In January 2016, he underwent surgery to amputate a foot and part of his leg. The Jamaican reggae artist died at the University Hospital of the West Indies on May 18. According to his sister, Trish Clark, he died shortly after 10 p.m. He had been suffering from kidney problems and was on dialysis 2 days per week. Frankie Paul had been admitted to hospital since April. He will be sadly missed by his family, his colleagues in the music business, and countless numbers of fans around the world who loved his music. And now, to end Jamaican roots and culture, here's our famous quotation from the Black diaspora. "When I discover who I am, I will be free." The words of Ralph Ellison. And that's how we end today's edition of Jamaican Roots and Culture. I'm Pat Clark.
Tidal wave, tidal wave, tidal wave, tidal wave, tidal wave, tidal wave. Oh yeah, yeah, alright. Tidal wave, it in the tidal wave. Frankie Paul, he never get paid. Tidal wave, it in the tidal wave. Michael Speak, he never get paid.
This is the cutting edge, and IRFM are there with you. So, as I tell you before, we want to play this tape here. You know, cutting edge is known for these tapes. This is what make cutting edge what cutting edge is. So, this is the university part of the cutting edge program. So, I listen. John Henry Clark talking about Africa before slavery. You know, most of the time when we hear about Africa, slavery, we think pan. We don't know so that African history got thousands of years before any European or Arab go in Africa. We were not taught that in school. When I used to go to school, I think Egypt was in the sky. And I never know so Queen Elizabeth got to toilet. I never know those people do the same thing that I do when them go to toilet neither. So you must know how highfalutin our thinking was as a youth. So when I hear say Egypt in Africa, and all the while I go to church, I hear about Egypt. I never know say it in Africa. And when I hear about Ethiopia, I think it was Rasta foolishness. I never know say Ethiopia is the first country mentioned in the Bible. And it goes on and on the way there. So the issue was hidden from us, that we couldn't find ourselves in history. Because most of the things that we read is in the Bible. And we never see African people in the Bible. So, at a greater extent, we never see we as part of history, world history. Come find out now, say, but how we create world history? But now we are traumatized. We are traumatized people. We go around either and thither and don't know where we're going or if we're coming or going. And anything them throw at us, we just ramp it up. Everybody look the same way, but yet everybody say them unique. Me different from him and everybody have on the same clothes. Terrible. So here goes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here again. I wish I had a more cheerful subject. A brother spoke to me before I came on and said we need to have some homework. I have been doing my homework all along. I have looked behind the slavery curtain to see what happened before slavery. There have been many slave periods in history, and slavery is something that has touched the life of every people on the face of the earth, no exception. The best known slavery period is that period that touched our life. The best documented slavery period is that period that touched our life. And yet that was not the longest period. Europeans enslaved Europeans for a much longer period under a system called feudalism that was just as brutal. There were biblical slavery. So slavery in itself was not new in the world as a weakness and a cruelness in man. There is a denial of man's God in making another man slave. And there are people who solicit their God to endorse their enslavement of other people. All forms of present-day organized religion is endorser of some form of slavery and some form of oppression of other people. Therefore, all forms of organized religion is ungodly. I'm not talking about spirituality that has been with us all along and must stay with us even when shams go away. It is organized spirituality that lifts man higher than the dog. Our crisis today, the crisis in Somalia, the crisis in Africa, the crisis in the Caribbean islands, the crisis in the United States, that we have lost from our historical memory the time when we were in charge of the state and when we ruled the state, that the methodology taken out of our mind and not the mind of a foreigner, a faker, and a fool. When independence came to Africa, when the concept of independence came to the Caribbean islands, when we had our charade called the Civil Rights Movement, nobody was fighting to be totally independent of their former slave master. In some way, we were all crawling to get back on the plantation. We were fighting to consume his hamburger. We were fighting for the right to make our oppressor rich. So we did not understand the nature of liberation. And if you do not understand the nature of liberation, mentally you are still a slave. Now the slavery that we still must grapple with started in the 15th and the 16th century. Slavery started in the world when man emerged in the world and developed a fear and a weakness of other people and felt that they had to enslave another people to feel safe. That was one kind of slavery, but slavery based solely on race, on color. That's the slavery hatched from the European mind in the 15th and the 16th century. For there were periods when Europeans enslaved Europeans, Jews enslaved Jews. Now my focal point is that for most of your existence on this earth, you lived in independent states fashioned by your own mind. And that this great event has been removed from your historical memory. I want you to travel with me just a little while, or we go behind that slavery curtain and see what did you do when you were in charge of the state all by yourself. You didn't ask any foreigner to assist you in any way, and you ruled the state exceptionally well. In some places, you ruled so exceptionally well, you had no word for jail in your language because no one had ever gone to one. You create words to describe what happened. If no one ever gone to something called a jail, you don't need a word for one. If you never threw away children, you needed no word for orphanage. If the life between a man and a woman worked and functioned because of the support system coming from both sides of the family, you never heard of a thing called divorce. Well, no one ever got one. You got mixed up with someone else's thing. Now understand me. I have gone over again over cultural incubation. When you come out of a cultural womb, the chemistry of that womb shapes your personality. When someone puts you into another womb, it's like putting you into the stomach of someone who's not your mother. The chemistry of your personality is shaped another way. Therefore, you had no wife beaters in Africa. You had no teenage pregnancy in Africa. So your worst traits were picked up from your oppressor because you were living in a state that you did not fashion. And because the state that you fashioned was removed from your historical memory, when finally you developed semi-independence, because you had forgotten how you ruled the state, you became the imitators of. Now, let's deal with the interference which led to the confusion about your structure of the state. The first invaders of Africa from Western Asia. Now the Africans in North Africa and Northeast Africa became a little confused between their culture and the culture of the people of Western Asia. Some of them debased, and some of them degenerates, some of them bringing in habits the Africans never knew. And this confusion in Africa's generosity and his traditional hospitality to the stranger began to impinge on his own methodology of rule. This would be overcome, and he would enjoy 1,000 years of peace before people called the Assyrians, now called Syrians, would come back. Terrible, they would make way for people called Persians, now called Iranians. And they would be so bad, mulattoizing Africa, until even the husbands who had imposed themselves on the African would cry out against their Iranian relatives. And they would open the door for the young Greek, Alexander, called the Great. It's the first European imposition. Now, Alexander's brief period influenced the monarchy, but did not influence the lower class of people. But he would open the door for a bunch of greedy Italian gangsters. They wasn't really Italians at that time in history. They were a mixture. But we can't get into the Mediterranean mulattoes who passed for white, or the Hispanic. I don't know what a Hispanic is. But all of these are white wannabes. That would be about 1/3 of the population of Europe, all mixed with us. If one drop of us makes you a whole, our powerful blood has given us at least 1/3 of Europe. Now, we didn't make the law now. If those who made the law want to change the law, they still have the right to do so. We made no racial law and didn't know anything in the world was called a race until some fool imposed it on us. And what I'm trying to get to is that Rome established itself in North Africa, while the bulk of Africa was still free of foreign domination. The Romans eventually stopped killing Christians and became Christians, so disgraced themselves in the mismanagement of the faith, they opened the door for Islam. The Africans, thinking that they would adopt Islam and get the Romans off of their back, were right. But Islam and the Arabs replaced the Romans on their back, and they're still there. Instead of getting a friend, you got another conqueror impinging upon the independent state. As Islam swept across North Africa, led into Spain by black general Gibraltar, great states were born in the Western Sudan. There were independent states below the Sahara, before Ghana. But Ghana emerged straddling the gold trade across the Sahara by collecting toll. And this independent state would suffer from the spread of Islam into Africa, especially into a kingdom called Susu, now called Mauritania. The Islamized blacks and the Arabs in this kingdom would ultimately destroy Ghana. But before this destruction, this independent state rose to great magnificence. In the 9th century, they could mount an army of 250,000 men, 40,000 archers. In the 9th century. By 1000, they had a king named Kenasi. This would not be so significant except Kenasi had a habit of inviting a few people in for dinner. He would announce in the morning without any warning. He'd like to have a few people in for dinner, maybe 10 or 20,000. And by the time they got there, the food was ready. The cows were killed. They put on the speak and the whole thing was turned over, so everything is done, sliced and put on plates. The significant thing is that the kitchen was as organized as the army. This opened the door for one of the most magnificent of their kings and the last of them before. The Islamic destruction of the country in 1076. After the reign of Ten Khamenei, known as the king who rode out twice a day, every day. He would ride out once a day and hold court among his people, and no one had to move from his presence until they were satisfied that justice had been done in his case, his or her case. A democratic monarchy, and all people had access to the king. He would ride out in the evening, dogs better dressed than the kings of Europe, silk and satin, gold aplenty, 4 men walking behind the horse, brocade mat, just in case the horse wanted to sleep, the men could throw down the mat. Several men carried a big clump of gold. If you want to stabilize the horse, put down the gold. Nobody's going to steal it. There's plenty of gold. When we had it, we showed it. And when we had it, we used it. No poverty. And this is one of the great countries below the Sahara that developed. And why do we have such good records? Is because many times Arabs visiting the country made good records, and some good records were made by local people. One of the best men is Al-Amari and others. There's many good histories of this great independent African country. The best simplified work is Adu Boyan's Topics in West African History. Basil Davison's work on West Africa has some interesting history, but Jacob Ajayi's work on West Africa before 1000, Father Bauer's work on school history of Ghana. There's plenty of good work on this kingdom. But after this kingdom in West Africa, we're dealing with inner West Africa called the Western Sudan as against coastal West Africa. After this country was overrun by the neighboring country, the Susus, another kingdom arose, Mali. Now the Susus invaded Mali and destroyed all the royal family except a crippled boy named Sundi Atta. The crippled boy was cured. This is significant because it tells you how much Africans knew about the orthopedic sciences at this juncture in history. He grew up tall and straight with no signs of ever being crippled and never seen a Western doctor. He was called the Lion Prince. He freed the country from the domination of Mali, the Susus. Brought all the territory that used to be Ghana into Mali. Literally the father of that country. The second great king, Sakuru, was a Muslim. Remember, Ghana was destroyed by Muslims. Mali was nominal Muslim, I mean the royal family was Muslim. We have not studied the black side of Islam because the black side of Islam had nothing to do with Arab or Arabism. Now, this kingdom, Sakuru, decided he'd go to Mecca and he decided he would come back. Now, the period that I'm dealing with now is about 1215 AD. He would come back to southern route, and he came back to an area that used to be called French Somaliland. He encountered a people called the Danak Hills. Some of the meanest people in all Africa. Ain't got no friends, ain't want no friends. Don't want no visitors. Don't come looking at me because I don't want to look at you. They drove de Gaulle out of it. De Gaulle came there asking them to stay in the French Union. Said, when me stay in the French Union, I was never in it. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, this is the culture. You're listening to John Henry Clark talking about Africa before slavery. Some very interesting history going on. So, anyway, it's midnight in Jamaica.
He takes me to the edge. The cutting edge. It's Mutabaruka on Irie FM.
They're part Ethiopians, part Somalians. They're part Ethiopians, part Somalians. A whole lot of good-looking women. You better not look at one. Unless you want to run up. Go to a funeral. This should be talked about when we do cultural history of Africa. We haven't done enough on the cultural history of Africa. There's some Africans very clannish about their women, even among other Africans. Not only outsiders better not touch them, other Africans better not touch them. The Danak Hills are one of them. Don't worry, the Americans not going to go over there. They know where to go. They ain't crazy. But the point here is that Sakuru went into their country without their permission. Thought he would just venture down there, and he was killed. And they sent him home. Peculiar thing, which I cannot explain, they embalmed him in honey. And he was still lifelike when he got home. And all that African heat. Now, chemically, I cannot explain how sugar can preserve anybody in heat. But all historical records give me this information. Now, the next king of the country is the best known of all of the African kings of that period. He came to power in 1306. He was kind of the showboy of ancient of medieval Africa, called Mansa Musa, a devout Muslim. He went on the trip to Mecca and Medina, 1324, spent years preparing for it. He had brought all the territory, the neighboring territory, into his empire. As he prepared to go on this trip, special gold was assembled for the trip. 250 bondsmen marched in front of his entourage, staffs of pure gold. 250 camels, each with 250 pounds of gold. When he went through countries that had a little depression, when he left, they had prosperity. He dug swimming pools, luxury. He had 50 royal hairdressers, and he only carried his favorite wives. When he arrived in Egypt, he was so splendid, they said, "He is Africa, there is nothing else." He crossed over to the holy places, thought there wasn't enough water in the well of Zim-Zim, thought he might build another well. They told him it was at the well of Zim-Zim that the prophet saw got the vision, so you just can't build another well. Because I think the well went dry years ago, and I think they're putting in some little faucet water in the well. Now, when you go to the Nahar, you're supposed to drink from the well of Zim-Zim. Because a whole lot of Muslims don't know enough about their whole history to know what that's supposed to do. He developed armed places, and on his way back, they decided to make him the Grand Caliph, a head of Islam in all Western Africa. But he was supposed to bow down and kiss the feet of the man giving him this great honor. He said, "This ill befits a great head of state. I will bow down to kiss your feet only if you bow down and kiss mine first." So nobody bowed down. On his way home, this is no ordinary king. So no ordinary homecoming present is good for him. His army had captured the neighboring kingdom of Sangay. They gave him a nation as a homecoming present. He went through this nation, saw with an architect, Ibn Asak. They took a sleeping mosque called Sinkori and developed it into one of the great universities of late medieval Africa. He took 2 princes hostage. At that time, you didn't declare war on people. You just take two royal princes. The king's gonna behave. I got 2 of your sons over here. After a while, the son was given too much liberty, and they rode closer and closer to home, and they got the message out that Mali is weakening, the king is dead. Doing this after the death of Mansa Musa, a man came to power named Mansa Morgan. This would not be significant except that Ibn Battuta, a great Arab traveler, came to the land during that period, didn't want to go into the black land, He'd been in China and every place. Yet he would still write that no place had he traveled, he was safer than down in the land of the blacks. He was a devout Muslim and a male chauvinist, an Arab male chauvinist. So he resented the fact that this Muslim country, the female had freedom. One of the main reasons why the female had freedom in the marketplace is that inner West Africa was Islamized by Islamized blacks who knew what custom to leave alone. East Africa was Islamized by Arabs who destroyed the matrilineal and installed the patrilineal, line by the male descent. Go to Senegal right now. The women are still masters in the marketplace. You see them walking around, you see men with that little machine making suits. But at the end of the day, you want to know who's the boss. See that lady with that big skirts on, tied around her waist, enough money to blow the bank. She's paying off her help. She ain't got no bodyguard, ain't nobody gonna bother her. She's the boss in the Muslim country because the matrilineal still prevails. Lineage through the female side. Lineage did not mean dominance because the American man, the European man is so afraid of women. He's always safeguarding himself against her. And we imitate him sometimes because we live among him. But we were very comfortable making several female gods. He was very uncomfortable. Now, the structure thing about this second great independent state in West Africa is that those two princes got home and spread the news of Mali's weakness after the death of Mansa Musa. After the death of Mansa Musa. And though they were twins, when Ali Colon was proclaimed Soni Ali, liberator, he would set in motion this largest and the last of the great independent states in West Africa, because this state would be a consolidation of Ghana and Mali, all consolidated in one state and still controlling the gold trade across the universe, across the Sahara. Now with a great university, St. Corey, and a university city, Dijon or Genie, with its great universities, not one university, but a city devoted almost solely to education. Arabs coming down into the Western Sudan could not get a job at St. Corey because the great master scholars taught 10 subjects and had to teach them well. Now, Soni Ali the second, 1464, 1492. The slave trade had already started along the coast. These independent states in inner West Africa went on to their golden age in spite of it and in the midst of it. But the slave trade had not destroyed all the coastal states in West Africa, but some were disrupted by the slave trade. In East Africa, some of the great trading states remained, but the Arab slave trade had started 1,000 years before the European slave trade. What the brothers who favor Islam fail to understand is that the Arab was a traditional slave trader before Islam. The slave trading is a part of his custom, part of his way of life. And some custom he imposes on you as Islamic custom has nothing to do with Islam, has something to do with the Arab custom. Just like the European imposed certain customs on Christianity that had nothing to do with Christianity, but had something to do with the European desire to control and to conquer. You have to make a separation between what people impose on a religion and what the religion had as its original intent. Now this great state would reach Sangay, and the significance of Sangay is that it was larger than the territory of the United States, that it controlled the gold trade, the leather trade, it had a great university, and that the Emperor Soni Ale II lost his life coming home from a minor war, and this brought into being the second man of iron to control that country. Between Soni Ale and Ashley the Great, we had the two greatest African heads of state in the last 2,000 years. Muhammad Abubakar Ituri, Prime Minister to Soni Ale, had been able to calm down the emperor, who was not Muslim. The Muslim imams and preachers kept telling him, pay more attention to the religion. And he would, instead of saying the 5 prayers a day, he would announce the 5 prayers, and as though he was talking to them, and said, I'm busy today, no more praying, bye-bye. So finally they told him to go into the mosque and pray, because you represent the people. So he did go into the mosque, and so they were watching him. As he said, as he bowed and bowed up, he was giving orders to his lieutenant. He was running the state in between prayers. So they called him a barbarian. His mother was a Fulo, and he belonged to an African religion. He had no patience with Islam. So when he was drowned, the ministers did not, the imams did not feel any sorrow. They said he was a pagan. Yet these same men wrote in the annals of the history of that time that fate decreed that his name be remembered forever. Now come to power 1493. His prime minister, Muhammad Abubakar Ituri, on his way to his inaugural the sister of the deposed king shouted out, say it is not he, say he has not deposed my brother. Then she shouted out a curse word, throne stealer, usurper, thief, Ashley. And he stopped and said, I will not let the wailings of this sick woman disturb me. Henceforth, this is the name of my dynasty. Call me throne stealer, usurper, thief, Ashley. He's known in history as Ashley the Great. He carried that country to the apex of its greatness. He was blind the last 10 years of his reign, and he managed to disguise this until at last it was discovered, and he was deposed by a son. That son was deposed by a cousin. He went, sent for his love child, son born from one of his love marriages. When he was over 80, he had 50 sons over 50 years old. I'm not talking about all of his sons now. I'm just all the ones over 50. He married into all of the kingdoms and nearly always begot a son. He was restored briefly to the throne, and the love child succeeded him, but he couldn't carry it out. The important thing now is that this kingdom pulled itself together due to a threat from North Africa. The Moroccans and the North Africans, the Berbers, the Arabs, the Moors had lost Spain. And they returned to Africa. So had conquerors with no land to conquer. By 1591, they turned inward on Africa with European mercenaries. They invaded the nations of inner West Africa using military equipment from Europe, some from Queen Elizabeth. They destroyed that great kingdom and permitted the slave trade from coastal West Africa to spread inland. In the meantime, the Portuguese and the Arabs had formed a partnership in East Africa. The Africans, not knowing of this partnership, some would go to the Portuguese to get help from the Arabs. Some would go to the Arabs to get help against the Portuguese. The African was politically naive in his relationship. He was now losing the effectiveness of the great independent states in East Africa and along the East African coast. But along that same coast, the Portuguese had encountered a great kingdom, now Zimbabwe and part of Mozambique. They called the Kingdom of Manapatapa, now Zimbabwe. They're seeing great ruins in this area of an independent state. Now, when you look at Egypt, and I'm not going to handle this very well because this is Dr. Ben's area, you can have some argument because this is at the front door of Africa and the side door of Asia. But when you go further down into Africa and see ruins like Zimbabwe, when you go to Ethiopia and see the great religious complex at Lalibela, when you always look for some white person who came there, built these things and disappeared without finding them, you're failing to attribute to the African mind the ability to run a state. And this is the one thing we need to look back at right now. How did we run states before the Europeans? We wasn't starving before the Europeans. Our people were healthier when the forest was the drugstore. Now let's look at how and why the slave trade came. Because you're too confused about this system. You think that it came only to us. The African's generosity, unfortunately, miscalculated the strangers coming into his country. After that invasion into Songhai, destroying the structure of that country, they exiled the great scholars of the university, the last of the great chancellor, Akli Baba. He'd written 47 books, each on a separate subject. He had never gone outside of inner West Africa. When he arrived in Morocco, he had lost most of his library. When the emperor asked him about the Western Sudan he encountered with, he said, we're your co-religionists, we're your kin. He was telling these North African corrupt Muslims, we're your co-religionists. We're Muslims the same as you. And they got killed. I would like to see before I die one single black scholar with enough nerve to really study Islam. Stay Muslim as long as you want to, but don't stay stupid. Read the invasion, this Islamic invasion of inner West Africa that destroyed these independent states and permitted the slave trade to spread inland. Read Felix Du Bois' Timbuktu the Mysterious. Read Eleanor Hoffman's work, Land of the Evening Star, Morocco and the Land of the Moors. Read the Horizon History of Africa. Read Adu Boan's essay, The Coming of the Europeans. Then if you forgive the modesty, read the essay that follows his essay called Africa, Time of Trouble, dealing with the impact of the coming of the Europeans. Unfortunately, I wrote that one. There is no shortage of information on what happened in Africa before the coming of the Europeans. There's no shortage of information on independent states before the coming of the Europeans. Before the Berlin Conference, 1884, 1885, at the Berlin Conference, the Europeans had not penetrated all of inner Africa. So Africa, totally under European control, lasted a little more than 50 years. Coastal Africa under European domination lasted maybe from the 15th right through the 19th century. But the hinterlands had a degree of sovereignty. Before the Dutch came to South Africa, 1552, South Africans were more or less free, but the Zulus and others had launched wars that lasted nearly 200 years to preserve their independence and to free themselves from that domination. What I'm trying to say in the final analysis is that if we study the methodology of state rule, if we study the justice system in independent African states before the European rule, we would have to prune some of the systems, but they're all usable. The spirit of those states are usable. If you study the justice system of the Jundai, that system is more democratic than anything we've got. These are systems that I've gone and lived among. I didn't just sit in rooms all the time. I've gone to courts in Africa, read books in Africa, talked to judges, gone to customary courts. How did you do it before? talked to old men under trees, studied the bush school, the old bush school in Africa. The African people have the mentality to rule themselves and to feed themselves. What then is this present crisis about? When Ghana became independent, the powers that wanted to control Africa decided that no stable state would exist in Africa. The leading culprit, the new imperial nation of the world replacing England, was the United States. The new schemer and planner. England and the colonial powers had fastened on Africa a network of states alien to the African temperament, alien to the African way of ruling a state. The African did not create the nation state. The nation state is alien to Africa. What Africans had was the territorial state. In the territorial state, as much as 16 states in one territory, cross-fertilization, people with different religions existing side by side, different marketing systems interlacing, cross-fertilization in trade, cross-fertilization in culture. Now you got to stop at the border. Whose border? Their border. There wasn't no border till this fool and faker got there. And each one has to fasten on the African, a religion alien to the African religion. But the African has to go back and get some concepts created by his own mind. Get some methodology created by his own mind. There's not one state in all Africa, and there's not one independent black state any place in the world except possibly some in the Pacific. For the methodology of the government, the approach to the government is an African creation. I have found the states in the Pacific more African-oriented, surely than the states in the West Indies, because there's nothing that resembles an independent state in the West Indies. They're all imitation colonial states. All imitation colonial states in Africa. Our mission is to restore to ourselves the concept of state management, state controlled by ourselves, a container for the soul of our children and the hopes and desires of our children. We have to throw off this dependency on other people to educate our children. No one is going to educate you in the methodology you need that you can use to take their power away from them. Powerful people never educate powerless people. They train them. So if we're going to get back and understand and extract from what we did as an independent people before slavery, before interference, we have to question everything. We may not have to discard any religion, but we have to discard every religious concept that did not originate in our own mind. We have to change it to suit our needs. And we would not be stupid enough to say, this is an atheist nation like the Russians. It is spirituality that lifts man higher than the dog. And you can have spirituality under any religion, and you can have it without any religion. Religion is an artificial formation brought into being by foreigners, fakers, and fools. All religion, all organized religions have been handmaidens for conquerors. Whatever touches your life must be an instrument of your liberation and the maintenance of your liberation, or you must throw it into the ash can of history. Take all the excess baggage out of your life and throw it aside. One of the main reasons the Japanese could rise from conquest, and remember 200 years ago they didn't even have a good wheelbarrow. Look at them now. They refused to let that conqueror take away from them their self-confidence and their idea of God as they conceived him to be. No people will ever be free if they worship a God assigned to them by another people. By a cousin. He sent for his love child, son born from one of his love marriages. Different marketing systems interlacing, cross-fertilization in trade, cross-fertilization in culture. Now you got to stop at the border. Whose border? Their border. There wasn't no border till this fool faker got there. And each one has to pass it on the African, a religion alien to the African religion. But the African has to go back and get some concepts created by his own mind. Get some methodology created by his own mind. There's not one state in all Africa, and there's not one independent black state any place in the world except possibly some in the Pacific, where the methodology of the government, the approach to the government is an African creation. I have found the states in the Pacific more African-oriented, surely than the states in the West Indies, because there's nothing that resembles an independent state in the West Indies. They're all imitation colonial states. All imitation colonial states in Africa. Our mission is to restore to ourselves the concept of state management, state controlled by ourselves, a container for the soul of our children and the hopes and desires of our children. We have to throw off this dependency on other people to educate our children. No one is going to educate you in the methodology you need that you can use to take their power away from them. Powerful people never educate powerless people. They train them. So if we're going to get back and understand and extract from what we did as an independent people before slavery, before interference, we have to question everything. We may not have to discard any religion, but we have to discard every religious concept that did not originate in our own mind. We have to change it. to suit our needs. And we will not be stupid enough to say this is an atheist nation like the Russians. It is spirituality that lifts man higher than the dog. And you can have spirituality under any religion, and you can have it without any religion. Religion is an artificial formation brought into being by foreigners, fakers, and fools. All religion, all organized religions have been handmaidens for conquerors. Whatever touches your life must be an instrument of your liberation and the maintenance of your liberation, or you must throw it into the ash can of history. Take all the excess baggage out of your life and throw it aside. One of the main reasons the Japanese could rise from conquest, and remember 200 years ago they didn't even have a good wheelbarrow. Look at them now. They refuse to let their conqueror take away from them their self-confidence and their idea of God as they conceived him to be. No people will ever be free if they worship a God assigned to them by another people. God is not less God if you see him your way, and he is not less if you see him in your own image. Seeing the deity in your image is a responsibility, and you will never have full respect for the black father in your home if there's a white father hanging in your church.
Thank you. The cutting edge has been a source of enlightenment and upliftment for the youth. Parents, please follow suit.
Long before Pythagoras, can you imagine him about a theorem named Pythagoras theorem? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. That theorem was studied by Pythagoras in Egypt. Yes, it's Egypt him get it from. After I spent about 20 years in Egypt. Now we know it as theme things. Terrible thing. Terrible thing. Yes. Continue.
Real motor.
Yeah, blessed man.
I just want to touch on the Musgrave thing. You know, Freddie McGregor is getting an award.
Yeah.
Today, Thursday at the Institute.
Yes.
3 o'clock, so I really plan to take it in.
Okay.
But the Musgrave, I don't know if you can help me out here. It's the same. I would get the name, the same.
The man, no, it's a man, the man named Musgrave. I don't know if it's our husband, but
it's really the Musgrave husband.
No, well, no,
I don't really know.
It's the wife. I think it's the wife of Mr. Musgrave, who says she don't want to pass Devon House because a black man owned it. So them have to cut a new road for her. The man who them name it off. The man who name it off and name Musgrave.
Yes.
I think it's him kind of come up with the idea to give what them call it, recognition to Jamaicans who have done great for them country. in the field of arts and science and these things, you know. So yeah.
Next thing motor, the Marcus Garvey bus.
Yeah, you mean yeah.
But I was there and
I was there too.
Yes, I saw you, but I never like what I see.
Where you never like?
I think we should have the likeness of Garvey that most of us know of.
Okay.
You know, I should have been able to pass there with my grandchildren and then can look and see it's a Marcus Garvey bus.
But if your grandson see it without you are pass it and see the name underneath it, you might know it's a Marcus Garvey.
Well, unless him go and read it, but
yeah. But wait no. If your grandson don't know Marcus Garvey or don't see a picture of Marcus Garvey, him not go see no Marcus Garvey that. Him not go say that is a boss.
I didn't see other.
You have seen it.
Yes.
You see it.
Yes, well, suppose he had seen the features that we
the picture them.
Yes, and in Paris and see the same thing there, so I would know say it's Garvey thing that.
Yeah.
But that one no.
So what do you think will happen to him if it like that thing they know? If your grandson see it, what do you think will happen to your grandson if him said that a Garvey is a boss of Garvey? If him go tell him friend them or female children them say that is a boss of Garvey, what do you think will happen to them?
Well, they are going to have a different, view of what
the image
is supposed to look like.
The image. You talk about that image now. You talk about the image.
Yeah.
So how that going to affect them, the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, if them read it? If them read the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, how that going to affect how them view the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey?
Well, that's a different thing.
We're more important.
The boss. The same thing with the Bob Marley and the Paul
Yeah, but how that stop Bob Marley from being who Bob Marley is to the people them?
Yeah, I wasn't disputing that. I just say, no, I prefer to say.
Yeah, well, of course, but when I say we're going to spend the whole time now. Yeah, all right. But yeah, memory is used to, used to its memory thing, What I say to you now.
Mm-hmm.
It is more important to me for the youth them read the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey. It's more important to me than trying to figure out if that look like Marcus Garvey or not. Because most of the people them who will say it don't look like Marcus Garvey is looking for a picture of Garvey and signing, but them not reading Marcus Garvey.
Well, I have read Marcus Garvey.
Yeah, I said the people them who I hear and make nice up there the other day. Them just say, look on the picture here with the program and look at that. That look like Garvey. That don't look like Garvey. That don't look Garvey. You understand?
Yeah.
Like that now going to, what you call it now, that going to identify 100 odd years of Marcus Garvey now, if you say, an artist now do a image of Garvey and it don't look like Garvey, therefore now we not serious problem. I don't think so we not a serious problem.
No, I'm not saying we not a serious problem, but
you say it don't look like Garvey, and I say I say no, my thinking is that I cannot be maybe I get old, but I cannot be bothered now if we go create a issue out of if the image look like Garvey or not, because really and truly, when the university should deal with, it's not an image of Garvey really, but for make sure say every student in the university read the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey.
Well, them could not just put a monument since the likeness is not important.
Yeah, the image is important.
Gandhi look like Gandhi where them have there, Gandhi look like the Gandhi where we see.
Where you see, yes. But that Garvey they don't look like Garvey. The one down a center that look like Garvey.
I haven't seen that one, but...
You see the one down Lady Musgrave there?
Yes, that look more like it to me. Of what I have seen of other likeness.
Yes, and the one down all right, here one more brethren. Me understand the outcry, but me don't want to take it up as an issue. Make somebody else take it up as an issue. Me don't want to take it up as an issue because, like the artist do where him look on a picture and him do an image of interpretation. So it's either now we're going to do, I mean, where we're going to do about it now? We're going to make them take it down. Well, them should take it down if the people them decide say it's not having that.
I wouldn't mind if them change it.
You wouldn't mind it?
And I wouldn't mind if them take down the Gandhi too.
You wouldn't mind if them take down the Gandhi? Well, you know, man, you want them take down Buster too? Why you laugh for? Why you laugh for? You wouldn't want them take down Buster?
No, not trivialize the thing.
No, me not trivialize. Only for Rasta like them take down Buster. You know, to Buster look the madness of Buster. Wait, hold on there. You know, to the madness.
Other reasons I would have liked them take down Buster, Carl Gardens and...
Then that may ask if you like them take down Buster too. You have a reason why you would have like them take down Buster.
Yes.
Yeah, then no wrong. I mean, me that say them take down Buster too. Me not trivialize it. Me talk about all of the things them you start to Gavi, then you go to Gandhi. So me have a continued journey now. Me I say, yeah, I'll Buster too.
Yes, that's
and me can find some more too.
Based on where him stand from the things.
Yeah, man, me can find enough more. Statue should I take down.
Okay.
The statue of Christopher Columbus we down at St. Anthony should I take down too.
Okay.
Me not trivialize it. Me just tell you say since we are talking about statue for take down, me could just go and take down statue.
Yes, and that name in a what the man the name the center at the airport, with the name of
Songsters?
No man.
Oh, Ian Fleming?
Ian Fleming.
And that me I say we should have just take down that too.
Some racist statement where name things are fine.
We should have take down that too.
Yes.
We can say a whole heap of police, a whole heap of things we could have take down, you know.
Yeah, man.
We not trivialize it. If the people them feel say the Gavin statue don't represent him, to all means take it down.
Yeah, and you see you need to feel good about yourself, you know.
Yes. Yeah, me understand that. But you see, through your think for that picture now, you say, you know, I feel good, but you tell people about the statue. No, me understand the thing, you know, me understand it clearly. Me understand it. You see the picture, you see the statue, and you see the picture, and when you look at the statue, you reflect back on the picture and say, no, that don't look like Marcus Garvey. So you really not accept the statue. So if the people them decide that, sorry for me to be the brethren, the Rasta brethren will do it, but I saw it go. Because I can tell you, say, even Nanny don't look like Nanny. So we can't even walk out Nanny out of the thing too. You know, there's a thing. Anyway, we are gone, you're gone. I tell the man, gone. Anyway, I saw it go. Personally to me, it don't matter 1 L, 2 or 3. That bus no matter to me nowhere. You see, because really and truly, lip service, monument important, but in a state where the people them who pass that every day, the student them, and then the student did there at that, and anything where for deal with Marcus Garvey, Africa or nothing, the thousands of students them were there up there, don't attend these things. I see them I walk with them little headphones in them ears and listen to some madness, dancehall madness, or they on them phone and watch the latest gossip about alkaline or the latest gossip about this and that. That's all them do. Anytime anything come up at university as it relates to Africa, you know, when we did up there and them we are designate certain things for and do certain things as folk philosopher. And then the student come there. When Michael Barnett keep things in a N1. Hardly the student in there. For the thousands of students, thousands of people, students with their university, N1 shouldn't be able to fit the kind of things them that I say Michael Barnett put on in that place. And sometimes you go into the place empty. A few people, die-hearted Pan-Africanists. So, really and truly, you know, me don't know. Me have to make that. The issue with me have is that evil people who me say I talk about take down the statue, them knowing nothing with Marcus Garvey. It's just like because man shout out say that don't look like Garvey, that don't look like Garvey. When I say that don't look like Garvey, a joke business. If it don't look like Garvey, somebody have to take it down. Mr. Watson, the people them don't like your interpretation of Marcus Garvey. Sir. Mr. Watson, the people them don't like your interpretation of Marcus Garvey. They are clamoring for you to ask the university to remove the statue and put it somewhere else, just like they did the Bob Marley statue when Gonzales did do the statue. Trima rise from the root, everybody said that no represent Marcus, that no represent Bob Marley. They move the statue and put it in the museum and put a different statue there. I don't know if it made no difference to Bob Marley music, Bob Marley popularity, or people who did. I mean, I don't know if it made no difference. You know, I mean, the artists didn't know where them did that do, where them interpret Bob Marley rise up from the root. Anyway, yes, I mean, know so the program now going to start turning into a statue program, you know. Yes.
Yes, Muta.
Oh, you man, Dingo. Oh, you do, man.
Wagwan.
Why we are going
about the Manchester.
We are going.
Talk about the Manchester thing.
And that me just have to go to before you, and that me want to talk about because you are now, Bridging. Manchester is a place. Me there October, right? Me know which part of the place is there. That's a stadium. Them call that. Is a stadium. Them call it, right?
Arena is a 21,000 seated capacity arena. It's the second largest of its type in Europe.
And them have about 20,000 in there, right?
Yes, actually the full capacity of 21,000. Because the artist there is artist who the young Europeans love.
I know that they forced me here about her. They forced me here about her, you know. You know that they forced me here about her.
Yeah, I've heard about her vaguely, but through fair music and my type of thing.
Yeah, I never hear about her.
No matter to me, you know what I mean?
Because I say no, one little daughter.
But the first me really penny more about her. But me just hear the name, but through fair thing, not my, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But brethren, how them move so fast? Like, 6 people them all now for that one, including the father in Libya. Them all the
father and brother. No, that's easy, you know, because what happened is this. And let me just drop this quick before me go in there. So Anthony Musgrave, the governor. 6 years he was governor in Jamaica from 1877 to 18.
Yeah, glad you know that. Yes.
Yes. And he was actually a European English born in Antigua in the Caribbean.
Yeah, born in Antigua. Yes.
Yeah, and guess where him dead from? Bowel strangulation.
So tell me something. Well, Lady Musgrave was his wife?
That was his wife. But what happened is that Musgrave himself initiated the Jamaica Scholarship and was instrumental in establishing the Institute of Jamaica by East Street.
And the university too.
And
not them institute.
Institute by East Street, yeah, man.
Not them that initiate the university.
No. Because the time the university come much later, man. University college.
No. What may I say is that Musgrave initially deal with start the institute.
Yes.
And then the institute now
by East Street, yes.
Yeah, and then the institute now initiate the university.
Yes, as a result, yes.
Yeah,
that came after.
Yeah, it's like a chain reaction thing, And
yes.
our
school was about fostering and encouraging the development of art, science, and literature.
Yeah, and then now our school is Michael the day so Michael did start in our school.
Yes, Michael College, where my father went to, where my father studied to be a teacher, and his brothers, studied to be a teacher.
That come out of Kingston Technical, the ground which part.
Yeah. That was the original site for Michael.
Yeah.
Just like Central Brand School that my father used to teach at was originally downtown when he taught there. You know what I mean? But the Musgrave Medal was awarded by the Institute in it was named in his honor in 1897, after, years after he had died.
Right, yeah.
But, yeah. Yes, and as you say, it's true the mentality of most of the students on campus that mentally enslaved them only into materialistic, Europeanized foolishness. Them not business about Marcus Garvey. And this is why things are the way that they are. It show you them head space motor.
I sit down at this thing we keep up there, right? The unveiling of this bus. And I calling other functions that keep up at the university of similar things, even deeper than where we go there. And the student them a walk past. All them outsiders come at the something and the undercraft full. And when you look, no student are there. No student.
It's true, Muta. You see, when we used to go to school in the 60s and thing, students there used to be more involved, but it just shows that over the years, it's a steady diminishing of interest. This is the mentality. All I'm interested in is to come out of university and earn a heap of money and continue to perpetuate the system of racism and classist injustice in Jamaica.
And it's so the system set up for perpetuate that.
Them just want to come fit in and to make as much as them can and thing, man. Typical neo-colonialist stooges and thing. But you see the Manchester thing, I'm very fortunate in that a cousin of mine, because I have a lot of cousins who, on the father's side, who live in Manchester. He missed it by 1 hour. He was at the venue and left 1 hour before at 9:35.
But I hear the Chronics them did perform at another venue the night before. That's why I hear. Not the same venue, but a night before. In the same Manchester area.
In the same Manchester, yes, because he's here on tour now, and so on. But yes, man, I had a cousin who was there because he was dealing with some selling of tickets for people who wanted to go to it. But because he had started that out, he left at 9:35, which was 1 hour before. Otherwise, he would have been. He could have been one of the casualties.
But explain
this
something.
22-year-old, Salman Abedi, 22-year-old. He was born in Manchester to Arab Libyan parents.
Libyan parents.
Who had fled Gaddafi's regime.
During Gaddafi time, yes.
And since Gaddafi was overthrown and murdered by the British and the Americans and things, that his parents returned to Libya.
And become radicalized.
And he had just come back from Libya just the other day.
Yeah, that we are here. That's right.
Yes.
But when I say, all them, I like know how them find 6 people for arrest so fast. Because them go at the house.
No. I tell you why. What happened is that he had been on a list, as a person of interest. With regards to the whole Muslim thing and so, but not the kind of active interest, we would call side peripheral interest and thing. But when this happened, this was why the British are very upset with the Americans. They never wanted to give his name because that would alert his companions, accomplices that he had been held for those who would not have known. So they wanted to
keep it.
Yes, because them were going through phone records and we have documenting things and so. So when the Americans go put this out now, it alerted people within his syndicate to make a move. But they already knew that his parents, because the records show, had returned to Libya, etc. They knew where his brother is in Manchester. So and you know from the whole and 1 and 2, them pressure them, interrogate them, and get more and more information. And when they go to these places, they will find documents even in terms of, they will check people's phone records, they will check letters. Computer. You know, yes, exactly.
But them fast. I tell them fast. Believe
yes, but that is something that I expect that as an activist, that is the type of situation, you know, and that's why they were so vexed knowing that they could have gotten more people if the Americans never let shoot off and let out the information. Yes, publicly. You know. And as a matter of fact, he grew up in a part in Manchester where 2 of the 15-year-old girls who went to Syria about 2 years ago, where they went to school, you know what I'm saying? You know. And when go for sure is that when I'm looking for people to come from outside to do things, the people already born in this country,
the enemy within,
doing the things.
Them call it the enemy within.
Precisely. But you know, there's an Australian, well-known Australian, you must play sometime, named John Pilger. He's a journalist and he's a documentary man and so. And he's saying that the British regime trying to go on like all of these things that are happening, these atrocities have nothing to do with British foreign policy. It all has to do, it is involved. This is why the security services had warned Tony Blair not to get involved in Iraq because it's going to create this kind of situation, but Blair ignored it. Because all these people are looking at it, like this guy Salman Abedi and others like him, and the July 7/7 bombers here and so, because they wrote messages before they left. They said the same way that innocent Muslim children, men and women, are killed in Muslim countries. It's the same way they are going to kill innocent women and people. Yes.
Eye for eye. It's an eye for eye and a tooth for a tooth.
Yes, as simple as that. As simple as that.
Well, you know? It's rough, no, it's rough.
No, I tell you, man, you know, when you consider, say, because we could have gone and things. And I want to play the Willie Williams to name terrorists. Who are the real terrorists? Yes, you know, who are the real terrorists? Because you cannot expect to be invading other people's countries and you don't expect some kind of reaction. Look at Trump. He was totally against Islam. No, him have to be begging the Saudis. See him get billions in terms of arms, selling more arms to them, and trying to scapegoat Iran again. To make Iran the scapegoat and arming them, so creating more violence.
But I don't know that. No, him do something where the other president them couldn't do. Have $1 billion contract with the Arab country.
Yes.
Well, the Arab them, all of the 9/11 people them come from Saudi Arabia, you know.
Put it this way. If my memory serves it right, there are about 17 involved, of which 15, about 15 out of the 17 are Saudis. Show you need to be hypocrisy. Almost every one of them except 2 were Saudis.
And a lot of the parents, the family of those who got killed in the crash, said them go and go sue Saudi Arabia. And Obama ball out and say, oh, no, sue why no mad.
Exactly, but they are the ones to be sued because they are the ones who financing this Wahhabism,
America and Saudi Arabia in a bed. America and Saudi Arabia in a bed, so him never want that to happen.
Precisely.
This is one you know.
Because America depend on the oil from Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia in turn, you see, it's a marriage of convenience, you know.
Of course.
Depend on them for arms.
Yeah, it come like
so both of them need each other. It's not that they like each other, you know.
No.
You know, a couple will stay together not because they like each other, but because of economics. Yes.
And
sometimes need each other.
Sometimes an enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yes, sometimes I like how you put sometimes because it's not all the time.
Yeah, sometimes the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Sometimes, yes.
Anyway.
You know?
Give thanks, Bridget.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mota, morning.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, the University of the West Indies now. Them advertise, so them going to erect a statue.
Oh, and as a boss.
As a boss. It's a great misrepresentation and disrespect to Marcus Garvey, that man.
True them says a statue and is a boss?
Mota, a statue is a statue.
No,
a boss
we know,
is a
but, yeah, but what I say now, when you say disrespect,
they advertise.
Says a statue.
It's a statue them going,
and
yeah.
they have a boss.
Yeah.
And you say that disrespect to Marcus Garvey.
Yeah, of course, that disrespect.
Okay.
And the boss don't even look like Garvey.
Yeah, that
it's a great disrespect. I sell out Garvey again, that's all again.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, man. The university itself, you know, a great disrespect, man.
All right, sir.
You know,
I don't know why I don't really agree with a whole heap of the sentiments when I hear. Maybe I get old. But I don't know why I don't agree with a whole heap of them sentiments. Because I understand how that now, how that selling out Garvey. Because them, first of all, the university never interested in a Garvey. I mean, know a whole heap of them people there.
Well, probably that's why them do it. That's why them do it.
I don't know that sell out Garvey because the people them is coming around to knowing who Garvey is and what Garvey stand for because of programs like these. So I don't know how that going to happen, you know, the selling out of Garvey again, how that going to happen. I don't see that going to happen again. The selling out of Garvey. University can't sell out Garvey again.
Yeah, but them misrepresent the man, you know.
Misrepresentation, but not them say the university sell out Garvey. Because them can't sell out Garvey right now. It gone too far. After the month that song where Burning Spear sing, and the program where we do, and I refer I mean, Garvey a national hero. I don't know if them going to do that again. I don't know if them can sell out Garvey still. Them can misrepresent Garvey.
Yeah, that's like a great misrepresentation, you know.
Garvey. Yeah, like the bridge will tell me say Garvey name, because him name Marcus Mosiah Garvey, my 666 mark of the beast. And the Bible said that.
How said that?
You never hear the bridge one night, me and him catch up when I tell me about him not understand why we have big up Marcus Garvey. So if you know, so the Bible mention Garvey as the mark of the beast, the mother.
A Jamaican.
What do you mean if a Jamaican?
Or a foreigner call.
A man who say he's a Rasta man, where you talk about? We write all a book about Haile Selassie too.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, man, him say Garvey. Him say the worst thing ever happened to Rasta is Marcus Garvey. Yeah, man, him say that, man. Right by the program, yeah, him say that one night. Yeah, man, so you must know, say, people like that is out there.
But so, as you mentioned about the student up at the university there, no. You can't see where the country are head to because some of the students them were past gone in earlier years who know in a government. Them have the place upside down.
Brethren, can I tell you something? From my youth, I go up university for functions.
Yeah.
And the most people I ever see at the university was when Vibes Cartel go up there. I have
when
never
for them lecture.
Every student, I have never seen so much people at a function at the university. And guess what? You see, by the time by the time Vibes Cartel reach halfway, all of the students must say, wait, what am I dealing with? And a murmur and a murmur. Because them never agreed with him, I say, them never like how him look, and them never know that's how him really steer. Some whole heap of foolishness. And guess what? That same undercraft there, with that keep, I have seen many different functions go there to elevate not only African people, but the student them. And trust me, you can walk up and down past the undercraft freely without a bounce by nobody. The university is now a place where them indoctrinating the African children them to come out and do the same thing the same way.
Yeah.
So that means them going to get the same result. They are training our children to maintain the system. We are oppress them, same one. Yeah, so, you know. I like the statue, they know.
A bus, man.
All right, well, a bus. Well, I'm not even a bus here coming and driving like, you know, me, I'm own car. But all that now to me is peripheral. Peripheral. It don't have no depth tonight. It don't have no, to me, it's just something when we go because I say, all right, you know, we see where I go happen. But to me, it don't make me lose no sleep. Me not going to lose no sleep over it. Because Marcus Garvey done imprinting on my head from me I go to Kingston Technical High School. Because I know his wife, his son used to teach me, and the other son, Julius Garvey, me and him go all over the world. We buck up in enough places in the world, yeah. So the impression in my mind, Garvey done cemented in there already. And my picnic them, Garvey done cemented in them already. I mean, also my grand picnic them, cement. So, them can't try nothing again. Them for them days done with indoctrination now when it come on to we the people. Them all can indoctrinate people where it's under them portfolio. When them call the University of the West Indies. Them still call it West Indies, so you must know. So them ever think about it. That more detrimental to me than that bus up there. Calling it the West Indies, the University of the West Indies. That name should have changed long time.
Long time.
Yes. That name changed long time, it should have changed. So, I could go and run it still. If you don't feel it, if you take long, lobby and make it come long. And I go march though.
Nah, march.
No, my foot I'm kind of weary, I know. Martin Luther King make me rub out my shoes. By fee march, civil right march. All of my shoes over. Now I walk barefoot now. I mean, done with the march business, Bridget.
I'm here with you now.
I'm here with you, yes.
All right.
Past April and I'm here. I mean, no more marching, but take long statue. No, sir, I'm done with that.
Bless up, Muta.
Blessed man, give thanks. Yeah, black people, it's not easy, you know. It's not easy at all, believe you me. It's not easy. Because the things that we have fight for yesterday, we have to come back and fight for it today again. This is where I go on. Well, the same thing we have fight for last week, we come back this week and have fight for it. The same thing we have fight for last year, we come back this year and have fight for it. The same thing we have fight for hundreds of years ago, we come back and have fight for the same thing. So when I wake up, no more Marcus Garvey now come around here, you know. And if we now wait for Jesus, no more Jesus not coming around here. We have to go save on ourselves. And not have enough ammunition to save on yourself. You understand? I am not the enemy. And don't make no mother telling about Mutabaruka is enemy. I am not the enemy. Turn around and look and say, observe and relax your spirit and realize who's the enemy. Listen to God knows and you will find which part of the enemy there. Some serious people in that the place, man. Serious place. That the place there. So, cutting edge. How much o'clock you know? All right. Oh, we could take the call them. Yes. We don't want to credit them run out. Ill.
Yes, Muta. It's a great joy to be listening to your program. You know, it's therapeutic for me still. You know. I listen to you and boy, I can relate to what you're saying because I'm in the teaching field and the youth, the generation of today is just gone crazy. That's all I can say. They're not into anything that will teach them about themselves, and it gives me a lot of frustration many times when I try to, you know, make the class lessons interesting. And another thing I want to touch on is when it came to
by doing what? By doing hold on. Where you say make it interesting? By doing what? What you do to make it thrive?
I have to be more innovative. Very innovative.
By doing what?
Well, they are more into the technology thing. So they like to see pictures, they like to interact with things. that is technology.
Okay.
That's one way I use. That's one mechanism I use to make it more.
My daughter said she use music to teach math.
And another thing I want to touch on is when it came to Florida in February for that Black History event.
Florida.
Also observe how the youth majority of them wasn't even paying attention to what he was saying. And it hurt my heart. You know, I wanted to cook one, but we just couldn't.
No.
They have the audacity for touching.
I wouldn't want to do that.
A lot of them is disengaged with the real issue that is going on around them and within them.
They are there to maintain the status.
What I observe in the classroom also, and I believe it also applies to the broader population. A lot of them is have ADHD, something like attention deficit disorder. They can't focus too much.
I have experienced that with primary schools in Jamaica. I have experienced that with schools in Jamaica with the youth them. You can't talk for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you talk 10 minutes, you lose them. You lose them.
Yeah. One of the things I always suggest to my students then is to meditate. Meditation will bring everything into focus. When I say meditate, my technique is just breathing. I just focus on one aspect of my meditation and just breathing. So breathe. Eventually get into a place of solace and more stability. Your mind can train your thought a little bit. But anyway, one of the main reasons why I called was because I been trying to find out if I got this email that I sent several months ago about some of the things that I think the Jamaican government can implement to curb the crime situation. Based on what I observe in America, technology plays a major role in busting most of these criminals.
Like body camera and them thing there.
Well, the body camera I heard is going to be implemented, but that's just a tip of the iceberg. Talking about cameras on each major crime zone, area where
them say them are going to do down at all.
Oh yes, man. Because from what me observe is any little thing that come upon American streets now, them have to find through them little technology there. So
sometimes I used to watch movie and police I just move, but now I watch it with a sense of purpose, May I tell you,
Yeah.
So when I see them have all them camera thing, them bring up the photo, and even though the image not bright, them have technology where can brighten that to make it say this is the man who will May I tell you? But where's the thing them should I do? Tell me, apart from this.
All right. So with the Chinese involvement in the Jamaican economy, I was saying that I know a few of them might say, we don't have the money for that. But, I mean, pretty much Chinese, they sell out Jamaica to Chinese, so might as well we try to exploit as much as we can get out of the Chinese. The Chinese can supply us with the tools. Exploit it, man.
Yeah. That's why I tell Babsy Green say, maybe we should go to the Chinese to get them bill a music hall for the music.
Yeah. I mean, Babsy, that you may watch something on YouTube and Babsy Green we're talking about giving War Theatre a facelift. Now I wonder if she ever changed that into the music hall or something.
No, them do it yesterday. Yesterday, no. Yesterday was what them call the day, the Labor Day.
Labor Day, yeah.
Yeah, man. To the whole I know that couldn't be the musical. That couldn't be the musical, man. You must say, you want all day going out and mash up that. How you talk about that? I'm pushing up on that. Watch out. A 2-story up. What a seat. You ever going to War Theatre yet?
You know what?
All right, I can tell you, them have a balcony. And on top of that, they have another balcony, Can you imagine? Can you imagine if music can keep it there and a man feel like say, boy, I go out and push off a man after that? No, sir.
Oh, yeah.
I better push a man from the ground and push him off from up there, so. Trust me.
Yeah.
So, no, she could not think about that. That's not the idea. The idea when me I sell them is the idea where you have a hall where all like 4,000, something like where them have the where them call the place up the sports center there. Something like the sports center size or the arena size. The arena hold all 10,000 people in there, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are talking about like the sports, what them call it? Sport complex there, where them build up there.
Yeah.
Where most of the music playing there. When me I say now, something like that, but conducive to music. Me not talk about what it can't hold 1,000 people in there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not a what that thing me I deal with. But no, we are working on that. I know that chat, I know that them are turning it into door.
Okay. One last thing. You know, last week I listened to the Cutting Edge, and I think one of the topic was money.
Money?
I don't know if it was, it was talking about money, you know, money control, a lot of things. And, you know, I kind of raised this question for the longest while.
Play a tape, I think I did play a tape. I don't remember the tape I don't remember.
What?
No, I said I don't remember what the tape was about. I know I play a tape.
Yeah. I think that was one of the topics too. You know,
money.
Most economies is controlled by these large banks.
Oh, it was Rothschild. Oh, I'm talking about the 13 richest, the 13 men who control the world, the banking system.
I've come to the conclusion that this money thing, I still can't wrap my mind around it. How is it that we need money for survival? You know, every years upon years I used to question this, and I'm like, I can't understand how people indoctrinate me to think that money is needed to control. I'm come to the conclusion, my own conclusion, that it's a way of controlling the resources.
Yeah, well, when I say in that same documentary is that people used to use gold, but because the gold is so heavy, them find a way to use paper. And then eventually now, people start to print the paper and print more paper than gold when them have. And use the paper now. And the more money them print, the more paper them print, is the less the real issue, the real thing value. In other words, the more money print, devalue, the inflation take place. Understand? So the banking system now create that and then lend out money that don't have no value because them don't print too much already. You know, it's a whole heap of different things.
But the thing is, I mean, the land is free for everybody to live off, and I still can't understand who give other man the right to control where you can't get to that.
Man give man the right to do that, Reggie. Power. Man give man the right.
But we always support them, you know. So if we not support them, then can't have the power.
Well, we have to stop support them. We have to stop support them.
I do agree with that, brother, we called months ago that if one day should not go to any work and just boycott everything.
Yeah.
That's how quit the economy. I mean, I talk about nationwide, or most of these economies fail without the people.
Yeah. And the people
sending them a strong signal. But anyway, the Rothschild hasn't set up, from what I researched, the Rothschild hasn't set up any bank in North Korea and Iran, from based on what I've researched. And I think that's the main reason why they are targeting these other countries. For that purpose.
Yeah, give thanks, Virgin, give thanks.
Yeah, man, respect for the...
Yes. This is the Cutting Edge on RFM.
Yeah, Muta, Isis.
Blessed man.
Muta, I know that you a man do a lot of traveling. Switzerland, have you been to Switzerland?
Yeah, man.
There's something we learn about Switzerland. In the EU, I get to understand that Switzerland is not part of the EU.
Oh, I don't know. But I go there already, but I don't know about the political runnings of the country.
Yeah, I find out, say, when I look at a map of the EU, every country that surrounds Switzerland is EU. Germany, France, Spain, everything was circled. So you have
Switzerland.
Yeah, you have Switzerland in the middle. And everybody else are EU and Switzerland are EU. But yet still, whole heap of excitement when Britain leave the EU. But me not hear nobody about Switzerland become part of the EU.
I don't know. You'd have to talk to one of them people who know about those things. I am totally ignorant of it.
Yeah, that me find out. Well, may I express it?
You find out some ignorant of it.
Then I can research it, man. We live in the time where the most information is at disposal.
No, but you should have did research it before you come ask me who know
I did research. No, that didn't research is.
No, why? No, about the EU part, right? Why?
Yeah, me have my theory. I don't know if that makes sense.
What is the theory? Tell me the theory.
My theory, Muta, is that is where all of the money is stashed, so it's not under no jurisdiction and nobody. Okay. Everything stashed there, so all the arms house go on, and then at there, so everything, the root of everything. So they're not under nobody jurisdiction, not under no jurisdiction at all. And reason why I said that also, Muta, is because I learned this. Every flag in the world, no rectangle, them rectangle as far as you know. Every country flag. You know, so they only got two flag in the world that is square is the Vatican and Switzerland flag.
So what that said to you now? What that mean to you?
Well, that's me say. There must be some meaning to them thing, yeah. I mean, everybody flag rectangle, but them two country flag square.
I think
and then you have the Vatican is being secured by the Swiss army. Can the Swiss army protect the Vatican?
I don't know, but if you say
so. Man, they look a pretty clown color clothes them.
Yeah, and I disagree with you. But Switzerland is a different kind of place. As a matter of fact, to me, Switzerland is the cleanest European country I have been to. In terms of look and in terms of the air. The air pollution is almost nil.
Yeah, because up in the mountain, them near one of them water, they come down after that.
The Matan and all of them. But you know,
the Matan.
You know, say you can't drive your car and have it a run and just sit down in your car, so you have to lock it off.
Right, they want to protect the air.
Yeah, they want to protect the air. Yeah, may I tell you, man, it's a place to behold. Trust me. And you know, look, I go to Switzerland, you know, and I drive past this place and I see a whole heap of people a stick needle in them, you know, like drug addict, them a stick needle. I say, what is this? And a person showed me, say, why this is, there's a park where them call it, where them call the park again. Anyway, this park is designated for drug addicts, where you can go in there and do your drugs and don't get trouble.
Okay.
Yeah, Neagle Park. Them used to call it. I don't think them have it again.
Okay.
Neagle Park. Trust me, man. I have never seen nothing like that in my life.
So them basically legalize that area for that then?
Just in there, so yeah. You can't come out of the confines of that area there, you know.
Okay.
Just that area there. And them actually distribute Neagle there, you know.
Okay.
Because them I say, them don't want the people them use Neagle that is...
infected, contaminated.
And go outside.
Yeah.
So them use that confine of that part. I've never seen nothing like that.
So motorway go Zurich, Geneva,
all of them. Yeah, we play. When we use the tour enough, all of them places have a tour.
Me find a statue of Moore, one of them.
You know,
one of them places there.
Haile Selassie used to stay there one time in Switzerland.
Yeah, and I realized that the North Korean president, they go school in Switzerland too.
Peng Chong, what's
yeah, man, that brother there.
Yeah.
So me ask you, you know, see, me book up a statue, and it's a hell for me find a statue there. Me I look on it, because I know the net make you go places where you don't have the money for go, so you can tour.
Yeah.
So me go through, me I go someplace in a Prague. But me talk about Switzerland. So there's a statue them have like a Moor, you know, I think the place named Schaffenhausen.
Yeah, them have a whole heap of statue like that in Europe.
In Switzerland, I talk about in particular.
Yeah, me know, but the Moors them they pass through them places too.
Okay, and they are saying that this man was a king.
Well, I tell you something. You remember say when you Them have a tunnel, you know, will lead from Switzerland into Italy there, you know.
Okay.
It's like about 20 miles long, I think, you know. And when you just end up in Italy. So there's a connection there. So I think the borders connect.
Okay.
I think the borders Switzerland and Italy connect.
So would you say the quality of life in Switzerland better than the rest of European countries?
Yes.
A higher quality of life?
Yes, yeah, man.
Okay.
Switzerland, Sweden, Norway, them places there.
Yeah.
Better quality of life. Finland.
Okay.
Better quality of life. Better than Italy, better than Germany. Even though Germany are the big money place.
Right.
But them come like America. But Switzerland, Sweden, I mean, Denmark, them place there. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, man. We're not going to leave this
thing. The headquarters for the Freemason thing.
I don't know. We're going to find that out tomorrow.
Me hear that one. Me hear that thing there.
Yeah, but me I tell you, say, me going to find that out tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. I see it online. So you go check us out. You go Prague too. There's a place in Prague, a castle. I don't know the castle, like Karlstein. I don't know the castle name.
Don't call the name them, you go to
spit up my tongue.
You get cold, you know, you're gonna get quack. You might get them attacking. It's like you have to move, look, and you're afraid to spit fire out of their mouth, you know. I don't want them till about me, I tell you. Anyway,
I want to say one thing.
It's a good thing for check out, no, the relationship between Switzerland and Rome.
Yeah, man, it's a tight thing, man. I did some deep reading on it, man. It's a very tight thing. Very, very tight thing. Them lend the Vatican a whole heap of money and start control the Vatican centuries ago.
Yeah, you know, the Vatican is the richest country in the world.
Yeah, man. And it's the smallest.
And the smallest country in the world.
Yeah, man.
If you do it in Italy, it have its own government, own army, own banking system, everything.
And the Swiss army where they work with, man.
Yeah, so something, yes.
Let me touch one thing, Muta. Last week, the thing about King James was a black man.
Black man, yeah.
You did any research on that?
Me doing research of King James was a black man.
Yeah.
Me read that all the while, but me not accept that part of the history.
You read it all the while.
Yeah,
where you read
it? Me read some is a white people too.
Where you read it?
Me don't remember the book there, but when me I come up from school days, when I come up, I study Black Power and all them something there.
Okay, you come across it?
Yeah, man, we come across all them things. The King James, Shakespeare, yeah. And the bridge I tell you about some Cambridge University writers who write that too.
Right.
Yeah.
So you just dispel it basically and say that's a madness.
No, because I have other historical reference point. You see, when you have one historical reference point, when you have two, you can choose which one you choose to believe.
Absolutely, that's true because that is a very interesting thing about history, because history you not there.
Yeah.
So when a man present a picture, you hold on that picture there
until you see
something else come.
That way I say, that way. But me never hold on about the black Shakespeare though, you know, and King James, you know.
But why though? Why it's so ridiculous then?
Because based upon the history them when we read, the logics in my mind, that logics about him being white is more acceptable in my consciousness than him being black.
You just said
because you know King James.
Right.
King James, well, we see, we're going to go back to the same story again. King James from Scotland. Him from Scotland, you know.
All right. Can I say this to you, Muta?
Yeah.
You know, so the Roman them go Europe, go civilize it in a 40th AD. 40th AD, we are talking about, in the 1st century.
Yeah.
And are you aware that the Romans used a lot of Africans as their commanders in their legions? A lot.
Look here, you have saints in Germany.
All right.
Who is black. Right? You have the Moors who are in Spain.
Me I talk about before the entrance of the Moor in 700 AD. Me I talk about from 40 AD.
Yeah, but when I say
so Africans are go Europe
long
from
time.
40 AD, you know.
Yeah, I mean know all of that. Me know all of that. Yeah,
okay. No, me don't say that.
We're not talking. Wait, let me tell you worse too. You know Alexander go to Africa before 2000 years before in a BC. So the connection of these people was there from BC. But you see like how me no believe say you see like how me no believe say is pick them get cursed because them skin black.
True.
And that is written.
No, me no believe that.
No, but me show you say you have evidence to show you say go so.
Right.
You never know that?
No.
You have
books.
I
never know.
You have books. We show you. And I'm talking about what you call empirical evidence.
No, how it's empirical?
And that me no know. Me don't
it can't be empirical, man.
Me no say. No, me know that. I tell you what them say.
Oh, okay.
The evidence is there to say, to show you that the son of Ham carry a curse,
right?
Because of uncover him father Nick, and the reason why our skin is black and our nose is thick and lip thick is because of the curse.
Well, I mean, people can't put forward them want to put forward.
Brethren, you have millions of people believe that.
Fine. And millions of people believe a lot of things.
All right, so that me I show you now. Say, when me read, say, King James is a black man.
Right.
And me say, okay, this is another side of the coin, you know.
Right.
And me look on where me read again, separately. Me come to the conclusion, say, King James was a white man.
And you know, that is very interesting because you see that's the thing with history, you know. The thing with history is that once a picture is painted and you confirm that picture over time, it is almost impossible to change that, you know.
No, but no. What you want to know? You see when you search for truth,
yes,
them things there is not true. What you just say?
What is that?
That because that thing is painted white over a period of time. Yes, it imprinted in your mind so much that it can't come out. Well, you know, Jesus come out of my mind from me. I got school.
Right.
And me not think on Jesus, white or black.
All right, fair enough.
Yet still me know say you have conscious people who just the thought of Jesus, same white. And would more accept Jesus as a white man right now than a black man.
Why?
Because there was no Jesus.
Okay, fine.
And the Jesus that we know of was created by the Europeans.
Fine.
So if I was to think on Jesus today in my life, as I know,
right,
and I know say the idea of Jesus was created by Europeans in white.
Right.
So look here how you try blacken Jesus. If you blacken Jesus, you're going to have the same thinking. So you realize, you know, it's not the image that is enslaving you. It's the idea surrounding the image that enslave you.
Well, so I will add that the image enslave you too.
No, I know. No, all right. The image
it's a whole heap of thing them put together, you know.
Yeah.
Try and trick you, know.
Right.
Put a whole heap of thing and try to corner you.
Yeah, so me look on it now, I mean, say, no, watch out now, make me wipe that out of my mind, you know. Because the confusion, so you know, me go so now, bam, I mean search, I mean say, I listen, let's say.
Right.
So now, just like where, I don't know if you hear the tape a while ago, you know, with John Henry Clark.
Yeah.
Me just play, I don't know if you listen, but the idea of a divine entity, a deity, must replicate your consciousness.
Right.
Not a consciousness with somebody put in your mind.
Right.
So you see me now, you see when me say, I listen, I'm myself, me I think pan.
All right. So, Muta, would you agree that two of the pillars foundation of learning and understanding would be objectivity,
of course,
and humility?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, man. Objectivity and humility. I mean, discover say objectivity is one very critical thing in learning.
All right. You know, says a nice reason we are going with, but guess what now? Matrix coming program.
But let me just say this, Muta. I'm going to say this before we go. I really want you to look into that thing, although you write it off.
You mean about King James?
Yeah, man. I really want you to look into it. I know you write it off.
Listen to me. Listen to me now. All the scholars,
right,
that I deem to be scholars,
right,
show me say King James was a white man.
All right.
All the scholars that I have been.
We can finish the point.
Yeah, all right. We have to move, though. We have to move.
But one reason.
Yeah, but that me I tell you, you have to go call me back next week.
All right, more
yeah, all right, blessed, yes. All right, so. Oh, you know, man. The Virgin called me too late, man. Cause I didn't really want to talk to him. Him sound more yeah, not realistic. Him sound more, you know, you can't have a reasoning with him. Yeah, it sound more have a reasoning with him, you know. I mean, like you can have a reasoning with people. More than, you know, them way there. Get to the extreme. All right, so here we know. So give thanks to the moment. Give thanks for the time. Give thanks for the energy. And you know, last week was Malcolm X. The 19th was Malcolm X's birthday, you know. And it was also the 11th of May. It was the 11th of May that Bob Marley died. Now, so it go. And Jacob Miller died in a May too. It's a weird little month this still. But one of the greatest black African activists in the history is Malcolm X. And you know, so we never celebrate Malcolm X's birthday last week, which we should have. Too much things full up the pot, you know. So here we're going to know. We're going to go out with Malcolm X. And later, you know, later, from 2 to 5:45, the cutting edge, don't you know, stepping razor, the art of war,
so
take
if you want
over.
to investigate something, find out why they stopped building Harlem Hospital. There were people in Harlem fighting hard for a long time to get that hospital built. Had a hard time getting the white man even to start it. Then when they finally started on it, and there's nothing you need in Harlem more than a hospital, because you're sick, and you just got cut, or you just getting ready to cut someone else. And we needed that hospital. So all these people had a brainstorm. They got up there and picketed and demonstrated, and the white man took away all the workers, stopped to work. As someone said earlier this afternoon, they're still being paid and the hospital is not going up. Your money, the money you pay out in taxes, is paying the white construction workers who are sitting at home doing nothing. This is some brainstorm that someone got off the track on. When they tried to stop the construction of the hospital in Brooklyn, couldn't stop it. Because that hospital is for white people, primarily, and you are not going to stop construction where the white man is to benefit. The only thing you're going to stop is something right here in Harlem. But what really stopped the work up there, too many of y'all was out there, and the white man is free to use. As long as the line up there was, Cora originally started the picketing, and there were more whites picketing than blacks. Nobody was worried. Plus they started picketing on a cool day, and our people don't come out when it's cool. It was on a Wednesday, I think, and it was cool. And then on a Thursday, everybody came out there. They weren't demonstrating, but they came out there as spectators. And when all these black people, as spectators, began to stand there and watch, they were afraid. Because they knew that with the picketers picketing, any little thing could happen. And even though you don't want to integrate, if the white man started beating some integrationist heads across the street, you couldn't stand there and watch it. Your nature wouldn't let you do it. And this is what would make you explode. He knows that. So he stopped the building of the hospital, but they have not been successful in bringing a halt to any other construction in the city of New York outside of Harlem. So if they really meant good, they could have stopped that building over there in Brooklyn. In fact, you can bring a halt to all the construction in New York City if those preachers are really for real. All they got to do is take all their congregation and take them down to Times Square. Tie it up. Now, I'm not talking Muslims aren't going to do this, but go and do something. And don't care what it costs. Don't care what the penalty or the price is. When you know you're right, you're right. And if you're not willing to go all the way, don't even start. Get on out of the line. Get on out of the battle. And that's another reason why we don't picket with you. As Reverend said, we're not nonviolent. We have demonstrated, we believe this is the time in history for the separation of the so-called Negroes and the so-called white Americans. We believe the black man should be free in name as well as in fact. By this we mean that we should be freed from the names imposed upon us by our former slave master. Murphy is not your name. Jackson is not your name. Smith is not your name. Bunch is not your name. Powell is not your name. That's white man's name. Those names go with blue-eyed people. Those names go with blonde-haired people. Those names are not for black people. Your names come from the East. You came from the East. You should have some good names, some holy names, some names that don't connect you with the white man, but names that connect you with God. Not names that connect you with the devil, but names that connect you with God. Like Hassan, Sharif, Rahman, Rahim, Hussein,